2 weeks ago you asked me what experiment you wanted me to do, and you chose crystallization from a supersaturated solution, but today we call it hot ice. Welcome to Cube Chemistry, where we will discuss all the elements in the periodic system and also do experiments. And if you like this video and want to see more, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you want to influence next week's element, make sure to fill in the poll. The following experiment is one that you can do yourself with household items, and beside the hot contents, it's a rather safe experiment. However, since you will be dealing with heat, make sure to be careful. Now, this experiment comes from the quantum set from Engineered Labs, and if you like chemistry and want to perform these experiments yourself, you can order this set at Engineered Labs by clicking on the link below. Also, make sure to use the code so you can get a 10% discount, and also you will be helping our channel. For this experiment you will need 440 grams baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, 500 milliliters of vinegar, 80% or household vinegar, and 100 milliliters of water. So let's start this experiment. Start by measuring 440 grams of baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, and placing it into a pot or saucepan. Baking soda is a common household item that serves as a source of sodium for our reaction. Now after this we add 500 milliliters of vinegar. Vinegar contains acetic acid, which reacts with baking soda in a classic acid-base reaction. When combined, the two substances produce carbon dioxide gas, water, and sodium acetate. Now here is the reaction that is taking place. The bubbling you see is the release of carbon dioxide gas. Allow the mixture to sit for about an hour to ensure the reaction is complete and all the baking soda has reacted. Also, this is what the reaction sounds like. So I decided to use 80% vinegar, but if you decide using household vinegar with a lower concentration, 4 to 8% acetic acid, add it gradually until the bubbling reaction stops. This ensures all the baking soda reacts. Afterward, boil the mixture to remove excess water. Be careful to maintain clarity in the solution, as a cloudy solution might indicate undissolved impurities. So, if undissolved sodium acetate remains, like in our case, add about 100 milliliters of water and heat the mixture gently until the solution turns completely clear. This step ensures that all the sodium acetate is dissolved, forming a concentrated solution. This heating process helps create a supersaturated solution, which is critical for the crystallization process later. So, let's dive into what is happening so far. During the boiling process, water evaporates, increasing the concentration of sodium acetate in the solution. As the temperature rises, the solubility of sodium acetate also increases, allowing more of it to dissolve than would normally be possible at room temperature. This creates a supersaturated solution. A solution that contains more dissolved solute than it can normally hold at a given temperature. So, very likely you now have a very clear solution. Pour that clear solution into separate glass containers like we did. Each container can hold a different amount of solution based on your preference. This allows for experimentation with different crystal sizes and formations. Cover each container to prevent dust or impurities from disturbing the cooling process. So now we need to allow the solution to cool slowly without agitation. This step is crucial because any disturbance could prematurely trigger crystallization. As the solution cools, it remains supersaturated, means it's highly unstable and ready to crystallize at the slightest provocation. Unfortunately, in many of the tests that I did the past couple of days, this actually happened. What you do now is you scrape some crystals from the inside of the pot with a toothpick to act as a seed crystal. Dip the toothpick into one of the cooled solutions to trigger the crystallization process. You noticed an almost instantaneous transformation as the solution solidifies into a mass of crystals. Now, alternatively, and unfortunately we failed in this, but maybe you have more luck, you can pour the solution slowly back into the original pot. This creates a dramatic effect as the solution crystallizes into a solid, hot ice structure. Now, why does this crystallization happen? Well, the supersaturated sodium acetate solution is in an unstable state. When a seed crystal is introduced, it provides a surface for the sodium acetate molecules to begin organizing into a solid lattice structure. This process releases energy in the form of heat, which is why the crystallization is exothermic. I will explain that definition later. The result is the formation of a solid sodium acetate trihydrate, which has a crystalline appearance and releases noticeable warmth. Also, here is the crystallization reaction. Now you can reuse your hot ice by reheating the crystals and repeating the process. When reheated, the sodium acetate trihydrate becomes back into its liquid form, allowing you to repeat the experiment. So while we look at this footage, let me explain a little bit about the science behind this supersaturation and the exothermic reactions. Now, like mentioned before, supersaturated solutions contain more solute than they can normally hold at a given temperature. This is achieved by heating the solution, which increases solubility, and then cooling it carefully to maintain the dissolved state. The solution becomes highly unstable and crystallizes readily when disturbed or seeded. So, what is an exothermic reaction? Well, crystallization is an exothermic process, meaning that it releases heat. This happens because when sodium acetate molecules transition from a liquid to a solid state, they release stored energy from their bonds. That is why the resulting hot ice feels warm to the touch. And don't worry, unlike what I've suggested in the title, you cannot burn your hands with it. So, are there any applications in real life? Well, sodium acetate trihydrate is used in heat packs. By triggering crystallization, these packs release heat and provide warmth in a controlled manner, demonstrating the practical use of exothermic crystallization. And that is the end of the episode. Now, unfortunately, it did not go the way I wanted it, since I am still a terrible chemist and some of the experiments did not work at all. Still, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I like making it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe or like this video. See you next week.